Welcome to I'll Be There, the ultimate wedding podcast by Priya
and Nim
from Pristine Events. Whether you're a bride-to-be
or a groom gearing up
or just a wedding lover at heart, we've got you.
Welcome back to another episode of I'll Be There. I'm Nim.
I'm Priya.
And we're very lucky today to have the founder of musical movements, Nainesh, better known as DJ Rugrat. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure having you here, one of the biggest names in the industry. And you've been around for how many years?
I would say in this industry, we've probably, in the wedding game, we've been here for just over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because before the wedding game, you were like quite prominent in like the club and bar scene in London.
Indeed. So
take us back.
Tell us your whole journey.
Yeah, so the music kind of journey started for me in college, predominantly. Actually, do you know what, to be honest with you, that's where the production started from. But I'd say from a DJing perspective, it started in year 8 in high school. So as I kind of went to a new high school, essentially finding new friend circles, being around new people from different places, different schools, I somehow fell into a group of people that were MCs. So it kind of, my journey started like that. It was like I was with friends that were MCs, rappers, writers, music producers, and music was at the forefront of like just the things you're talking about at lunchtime, after school. I lived in Edgware when I was growing up, and in Edgware there was a record shop which is called Loppy Lugs, which was on more or less on the high street.
Okay.
And when I was younger, my dad used to kind of make me go to the library every Saturday. So it was kind of like a journey of, as I was going to the library, essentially just across the road was the record shop. And like, as my dad would drop me to the library and go home, we'd actually leave and go to the record shop. And so it kind of started like that. And then seeing all these records, and then we decided I was going to get decks. So I had a bicycle, like a PlayStation at the time. We sold everything that I had, put the funds together to buy a belt to buy belt drive decks, which is like a very basic level of DJing. Yeah. And then from there, my brother, my friends started to help me contribute towards getting records from this record shop, and then my friends that were MCs used to come to my house, and then we started to record like mixtapes and things along those lines. At the same time, was a lot of big crews were kind of out there, So Solid, Pay As You Go, Heartless. So that journey was like that. It was like watching this whole scene taking off, and as that whole garage movement was happening, we was at the forefront of high school. So the record collection I had that stemmed from essentially old school garage records, grime records, and then eventually evolved to R&B and hip hop. Wow. So it started with garage, it started with recording tapes. As I moved into college, I done production, focused a bit more attention on making music. That was a kind of a balance between it. And then I think from that moment, since I was 13, I've been involved with music. It was like my go-to. It was like I would lose 3 or 4 hours in a day just playing music. I'll come home, I'll put records on, I'll scratch for like 1 hour, just doing the same movement. Wow. Then I'll do that consistently, and then I met friends that were doing the same thing, and then every weekend we'll just end up catching up, going to under 18 parties. I was DJing at under 18 parties, house parties, all the way up until university. And I think university kind of essentially was the stepping stone for me to start thinking more so actually I'm 18 now, I can make money from DJing, and every other day I was playing a lot of student parties. I studied in Manchester, so funny enough, I studied business enterprise. So as I went to uni, I was studying how you set up a business and what you need to do in order to start a business.
But was that intentional? Like, did you do that with a view to saying, look, I'm a DJ now, how do I take this to the next level? Or were you just interested in business generally?
No, so I think I only went to uni on the back end of my parents saying you can't just be a DJ, you can't just not go to university.
We know you're not going to the librry. We know you're going to the record shop. Like,
you want to do music, that's fine. Do music after you've graduated.
Yeah.
So that's the journey of it. I looked at, after I went to college, I looked to see what courses were available through clearing. And that's when I come across business enterprise. Okay. Because business studies was full up. So it wasn't like I planned this. This kind of happened in the mannerism of me seeing an opportunity to study something with the results I got at college, which wasn't great, but at a university that would accept my grades for a course. And it was a kind of a new course at that point. Yeah. And as I mentioned, it was called Business Enterprise. And it was more so about how do you start business and how do you create it. So I went on the intention of this is close enough to just being like business studies. I saw my journey at university kind of in two different places. I thought, if I'm not going to DJ, I want to be an investment banker. So this is like my journey in my head. But I think ultimately, I don't know why that was in my head. I don't know. It was just like, what do I do? But I did know that music was probably going to be the route which I could champion. I felt like I had a very, very overpowering confidence at a very young age to be like, I know I'm going to be in the music field one way or the other. Where it takes me, I guess time will tell. I tried the whole club route. I had a lot of fun with it. I done club nights across the country. I done a handful in different countries, and from the back end of that, I think it's where I met more and more DJs, and then I decided that there's two sides of this business. One is a fun part of the business, more so, which is the clubs, the parties, and there's another part of it that's perhaps more lucrative, more future thinking, and more sustainable.
Yeah.
And that's where I think musical movements kind of has arisen from.
Wow, that's so. I'm
That's
really
such
impressed
a-
that
yeah.
year 8 Nainesh was hustling, selling his
Yeah.
PlayStation, scratching records, and like that's really amazing. And obviously, it's a passion that you've had from a young age, and you've continued and then built this whole brand on, which is really incredible. And
Well, the question I was going to ask, sorry, going back all the way back to like when you were at school, like, what was the first like gig that you did outside of your house? Like, what was that feeling? Do you remember?
I remember it.
Yeah.
it. I was. It was a place in. It was a place in Edgware where I was more or less raised.
Yeah.
I couldn't mix very well, to be honest with you. So what I was doing, I was mixing essentially I would say seamlessly. I was mixing song, but it was clanging a lot. So what I would do is I would mix different parts of the song that just didn't have a beat, like no kick or anything. It's like vocals or just like a midsection of something like to transition to it. But that first party I ever done kind of gave me a little bit of confidence, but the whole party was shut down because there was a massive fight that stemmed all the way outside.
Okay.
And there was a bit of a daunting experience as such, being at that age in a party, and it was like the police everywhere. There was they waited for me to stay inside before I left, before like everything kind of calmed down. But it was quite unusual. But I would say a lot of the parties that probably followed that probably had the same kind of structure, to be honest with you. A lot of the parties I was playing at had fights going on or trouble. I think it all kind of calmed down as I got towards university. When I was 18, the parties in the university world was a lot more,
I guess, structured. To some extent.
There was a lot less drummers, a lot more fun, but also a lot more different in my musical kind of playlist. And that's because CDJs came out. When I went to university within the first year, Pioneer introduced a product called CDJs, which is where turntable DJs transition into CDs. So that meant I could now have access to multiple genres of music.
Because just because I know nothing about this, because before that you were using actual records.
I was using
mix,
actual records,
and so instead it was like the Pioneer decks, which are not actual records, but it's that sort of black circle.
That's correct.
For want of a better phrase.
That's right.
Probably should have looked that up.
Exactly that.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Exactly that. So when I used to do shows, I used to have about 2 other guys coming with me. We were like quite young, quite skinny, quite weak as such. Carrying records was like
I was going to say, must pack a lot, right?
Yeah.
Pack all these different records.
Yeah,
like,
we used to have like two, 3 of us going with flight cases, going towards clubs, trying to get in. There was a lot of problems with a lot of the clubs that we were playing in. There was a lot of venues that didn't want us there. There was a lot of racism. There was a lot of different factors in the club world as we were trying to come out into a scene. But I think eventually things kind of worked out in a place where, we was welcomed in some spaces, in some clubs, and it's now kind of transformed. But it's funny because I had a conversation with someone today, a club DJ in London, to say that the levels of where clubbing was in the UK to where it is now is completely kind of transformed. And after
for the
COVID,
better or for the worse?
I don't know. I would say, in my opinion, it feels like there's not as much opportunities for DJs coming up now to play in clubs. Like if you think about other countries, their scene is quite prominent with like beach parties, daytime parties. If anything, UK probably got a very strong new scene that's evolved over the coming years in respect to daytime parties, brunch parties. Still surprised that people are not doing wedding brunch parties yet.
That'll be fun.
Still to see that come.
Fun
I'm sure that will
I'm sure
hopefully
it will.
become
Watch
a trend.
this space.
I would love to see that because daytime party, wedding party would be great.
No, that's really interesting you say that, because I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were talking about the exact thing about the club scene in the UK, and they said, I guess historically the club scene was for people to meet other people, i.e. boys and girls, boys, girls and girls, but then also like drugs, and in that sort of space. Whereas now with Hinge, and also if people wanted to, there's a lot other ways of getting it than in a club. It's kind of meant that the club scene has kind of died down a little bit. I don't know how much truth there is in it, but that was kind of their take on it, which I think
also it's like a new culture of perhaps Instagram or staying in shape as such, training, eating clean.
Fitness,
these kind of things are more prominent.
So true.
And it's good. Like I think a lot of the youngsters or the younger generation I know, especially my cousins, when I'm asking them like, where are you going? Are you going out? Are you partying? They're like, no, I'm going gym 5 days a week and things along those lines. So it's kind of slightly different culture.
And like you said, it is great, but then there is that kind of, I don't know, phase of your life that you kind of miss out on. I think maybe like just sort of going out, being carefree, going to a club, regretting it the next day, which I think is a bit of a shame.
Also quite expensive, I'd say, like to party now. For university students.
True.
Perhaps that's also at the forefront of of their mind, like actually cost of living, you know, trying to get on the property ladder, things along those lines for some people might be a bit overwhelming. But yeah, I mean, well, we might be completely wrong. There could be a crazy scene of party scene
we're just too old for
that, that might be happening.
If you know, you know. We don't know.
Well, I'm seeing a lot more daytime things happening for sure, and that's across the globe. Really.
Yeah. I think daytime partying is just the way forward. It's just you have a great time in the day, have dinner, and you're in bed by like 10. It's like
exactly.
winning.
It's a win. Absolutely.
Until we're in our 30s. But okay, so how did you then transition from like getting into the clubs? Obviously you said it was difficult, experienced a bit of racism, then you were doing really well in the clubs, and then what made you then think, okay, now's the time to go into weddings, and how did you come up with the name Musical Movements? Yeah,
so essentially I think again, when I started, my DJ name was DJ Rugrat. I got kind of stuck with the name because I was perhaps one of the youngest DJs in the circle of friends I had. So when I was in year 8, a lot of the DJs, MCs, etc., they were in like year 11, first year of college. So it was like a crossover of ages.
Okay.
So they referred to me as the Rugrat in the group because it was like he's the youngest there.
Yeah.
And it kind of stuck with me because when I used to call myself a completely different DJ name altogether. But it was DJ Magic actually.
Okay.
So I was stuck with this. I called myself that, but I never spoke on the mic. So they would just call me Rugrat on the tapes. And then as we were giving them out, goes back some time where we're actually physically giving out tapes.
Giving out mixtapes.
Yeah. So these tapes are circulating and people are listening to it, but like, oh, okay, cool, who's Rugrat? This is Rugrat. And it just got stuck with me. And then eventually I was like, you know what, I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
And as I started to put my name on DJ bills or lineups or parties, it was just DJ Rugrat, and found out it was relatively Google friendly and kind of...
That was a business enterprise in you.
I saw the market on that. To be like, nobody's going to call themselves this. What are they? They might do. Got stuck with that. And then I think it was a case of deciding, when I was getting people ask me to do weddings and people to ask me to do private parties, I felt like a bit weird, like DJ Rugrat's doing a wedding, or sometimes I felt like maybe they, like corporate clients, it felt a bit weird because I was quite young. So I was trying to differentiate the brands quite early on, and this all stemmed when I was starting my first year of business enterprise, the course that I was doing, to be like, actually, let me create another entity. Focus myself as an individual brand as a DJ, focusing on what I want to do, which is clubs, but also focusing on a secondary kind of hustle that may bring in an income. And that essentially was Musical Movements, and I was trying to also just put other DJs within that. So I would DJ and be a club DJ, do the booking that I want to do, but Musical Movements was essentially the agency taking the bookings for shows potentially I didn't want to do. And mainly because I wasn't the right DJ for it. And these are probably clients that were in that time frame, more specifically wanting Bollywood, like if not 100% Bollywood, 90% Bollywood. And at that point I was involved with another bar called Zoo Bar, which is in Leicester Square.
I
was interlinked working as a promoter, as a DJ for this venue while I was in university. And I met a DJ called Mr. Vish, and Mr. Vish used to do the Bollywood room. So he was like probably, to my honest opinion...
Zubar had a Bollywood room?
Zubar had a Bollywood room. Oh my God,
no way.
Yeah. So they had another room there. They had another room upstairs, which was more, I guess, house music. And the room I was in predominantly was more like R&B, hip hop. So I met Vish. I said, look, Vish, I've got these shows, these inquiries that are coming in. They require a Bollywood DJ. Can you come with me, help me, or do them? So it's kind of a balance between the three of them. When I was taking on some of the shows and I wasn't confident, I would take Vish with me. If it was a show that just wasn't for me or I wasn't available, Vish would be the DJ that would champion that. And Vish was like the best Bollywood DJ then. And I'll probably still say he's probably still the best Bollywood DJ I know till this day. So he kind of worked really well. So I signed him as the first DJ. And then it was the start. And as I was doing all of this, I was creating a new mixtape series, which was called Musical Movements, which spanned back from, again, probably I must have been at least between the windows of 18 to 21, a whole series of Musical Movements Volume 1 all the way to Volume 7 come out. This point was when CDs come out, and it was much more easier to duplicate CDs. So I used to work in a place called Windmill International in Soho, and I remember sitting there burning manually like 30 or 40 CDs every day with my MacBooks. I had one MacBook just burning CDs or mixing on the other one, just creating a whole bunch of ammunition to hand out for a show where I'm playing. Mainly it was Zuba on Mondays. I would just go out there and just hand out like 100 CDs and every week do the same thing. That same CD will distribute and work its way into someone else's car. Another university student in Nottingham, then move to someone in Birmingham. And that kind of helped me get a lot of profile views for a platform I was using at that point called SoundCloud. And SoundCloud for me was like big. My numbers were really big. I was on like over 5 to 6 million views. But I got my account got stricken off due to copyright issues.
Yeah.
So I lost all of the followers
that's annoying.
and kind of started again.
But doesn't everyone on SoundCloud use other people's music?
They do, but
Is
I
that
think
because you were so big?
I don't know. If I'm honest with you, till this day, I'm not sure the exact reason why it happened. I think I had like 2 or 3 kind of issues or copyright infrastructure, but there was also the legalities of things that were changing and forming around copyright.
Right.
And initially, SoundCloud didn't have a proper issue with DJ putting mixes out, and I think then it become a bit more of a problem, and then they had to say, okay, these are the issues. And eventually, I think multiple DJs accounts that I know got cut off. I think now it's okay. I think now they pay the PRS or the royalties accordingly.
Yeah.
And things are balanced out. Mixcloud is also another platform. Apple Music, Spotify potentially. There's a whole bunch of different things. I think at that point for me, also being at university, like Facebook's more or less just about to come out.
Yeah.
So, you know, using all of these tools to your advantage.
Yeah. I guess it was like, I guess handing out CDs and SoundCloud was kind of like your social media back then in terms of
it's the
spreading your
Instagram.
name.
It was the
Yeah,
Instagram
yeah,
that
exactly.
we have now.
Yeah,
it's like a CV as such, or just demonstrating that. And I think having the base of the CDs and the mixtape brought in the inquiries till this day, probably I get now.
Oh, really?
I still get people that call me to say, hey, you used to be the DJ at Zuba, I used to come see you on Mondays.
No way.
Or I met you at Metro or Funky Buddha or Penthouse.
Yeah.
So, or their sisters or have a CD that someone else had, and they're really random. Or things along those lines. I find that a lot of the kind of narrative has come from the initial input of that. And I still tell my DJs this now, like keep active on making mixes or producing remixes or putting them out. YouTube's great. You know, you got Mixcloud, SoundCloud still there. Instagram is perhaps at the peak of it, and of course TikTok.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a whole. I as you said that, I feel like I remember being at a club and someone handed me a CD, and it was a really. I can't remember who it was. It was a really good DJ. I don't think it was Nainesh. But like you forget that because stuff's changed so quickly in the past, like whatever 15, 20 years. But you forget actually back then when we used to drive, we couldn't connect to any other music. It was whatever was on the radio. There was breaks all the time. So if you had a CD that had your favorite R&B on it that was like all mixed together, that was like sick, and you'd play that on repeat. Like. So now
we're spoiled.
Yeah, now it's like
in terms of access to music, you just kind of go
you
on.
You can get it everywhere. Exactly.
Yeah, also you just go on Spotify and like, I mean, not that I do this, but like you just go on like top 50 like R&B hip hop and like, oh, there's like great songs. But beforehand, I guess you were reliant on a DJ or going to a club and then being like, oh, those are the songs. Or you listen to the radio and just hope that a good song comes along.
It's I guess back in those days, DJs were the tastemakers. They were playing music that people never heard. And people would then be like, wow, this is great. You're playing something I've not heard. What is the name of this song? And now it's the opposite way, but it's now like, hey, here's my Spotify playlist.
Can you play
this? Can you play this?
That must be so. The thing, I mean, going back to what you said earlier, right? Like, I guess, and I might be wrong, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like as a club DJ, I guess there must be an element of like street credibility, and also like that's your passion, that's what you love doing. Like it's pretty cool to do that. And to some extent, I mean, obviously we're in the wedding industry, and I don't mean to slate it in any way, shape, or form, but like making that transition to the wedding industry, is that part of the reason why you tried to kind of keep them separate, not just from a business perspective, but also it's like, I want to do the club thing. I don't really want to delve into the wedding thing. But then I think ultimately everybody does, because, you know, I guess weddings back then, not that it was that long ago, but weddings were like, oh, it's just a wedding in a hall. Now, like, weddings are like clubs, right? Like, they're like parties. So now it's like, it's fine. It's the same thing.
It's the difference. And even like bringing it back to the conversation that I had about the London club scene.
Yeah.
The conversation following that was actually weddings are epic.
Yeah.
Weddings are more fun than sometimes playing, you know, at a club.
Yeah.
The difference being club sets were more credible. For sure, you've got a lot more people. Your friends will come out. It's more in line with like a specific genre of music. Perhaps could be R&B, hip hop all night, for example. Whereas weddings, you're playing culturally appropriate music for different segments, different age ranges. You're kind of pleasing as many people as you can.
Yeah.
Whereas clubs, you can kind of just be like, hey, I'm just gonna do me. I'm just gonna do what I want to do, and have fun in that way. But I think it's kind of a balance between it. I think the club side of it, there's not as much emotion attached to it. So you play, you have fun, but you don't really remember it. You don't really think back about it. You don't really care as much after it's done. Whereas the wedding, you think back about it. You think about the memories someone's created or the pictures you see after it. And then I think that part of being part of someone's journey is more rewarding in some respect than actually just doing a club set, showing up, playing. But I do think the balance is needed. I think a lot of DJs kind of go through the same emotion of, what am I doing? Is this for passion or is this for money? And the real answer is perhaps it's a bit of both, because you want to keep doing what you do, but it's safe to assume in our industry, you know, DJs get paid quite well. There is a market for DJs to sustain a full-time career being a wedding DJ, whereas once upon a time it was not necessarily frowned upon, but it was looked at as an unlikely profession.
Yeah.
And I think now you have a conversation with perhaps some people that might have said that, 15 years ago, if they see the markets now, they're probably thinking actually a route into the kind of a side hustle as such, because it could be a side hustle, could be to DJ, because if you pull it off quite well, you've got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that we were talking about before, and I hope you don't mind me asking, but I guess where, you go back to your parents saying that, you have to go to university, have this degree to fall back on, dad sending you to the library, you're going to the record shop. Like, what was the point where you were like, to your parents, I guess, just being like, oh, by the way, like, I'm going to take this seriously, and like, was it just like, look, I've got my degree, just let me do this?
Yeah, basically it was at the point when I got my degree, I come back and said, oh, I've got a degree, it's all good, and I continued just DJing. But it just happened more so, again, in some respect, by chance. A lot of these things happen as I come back, and I had a conversation with my mum. I come back from uni, she's like, why don't you try looking for a job? I went on, at that point there was something called Gumtree, which is I'm not sure how popular it is now. I typed in DJs wanted, and this is where it came up, where do we need a DJ to start now, today? Can you call? Like, it was like a number there. I called them, and this was Windmill International, which was a strip club in Soho.
Okay.
So, and I was 21. This was the first contract I took on, which I managed the DJs and the entertainment there for over 15 years. So
your mum was like, get a job, and you were like, yeah, I got one at the strippies.
Basically. It kind of worked out in that way. Cause I remember my mum and dad having a conversation, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm a DJ. And like, where? Because I was playing from 9, give or take 9 in the evening, and I was finishing about 4.
Wow.
And then because they allowed me to control the DJs from Monday to Saturday, I would be putting in DJs based on the availability that I had. So if I had Zubar on a Monday, I'll be putting in another DJ there. So it was consistent. So it felt like, okay, this is the start. And this was essentially, again, linked to musical movements. When the business was there, I was like, all right, this is good. I had a business at that point. I created it called Musical Movements, put this contract through that. I remember the first point when I was trying to actually invoice and stuff, and it was like, I come there with a manual paper and like write down the date, and the guy was like, what are you doing?
So sign here.
Basically, he was like, can you send me an official invoice?
Yeah.
So at this point, it was kind of trial and error. I learned a lot as I was just moving and adapting.
Yeah.
I remember also the music playlist I played when I walked in there was like just like R&B and hip hop, and he was like, this ain't that kind of club.
Yeah.
So although it was a strip club, it was perhaps one of the most exclusive strip clubs in London.
Yeah.
And I think anyone that knows the name Windmill International Soho will understand.
Never been to a strip club.
Yeah. It's got a good reputation. It's very corporate, and it's an interesting space. It was a nightclub. I'm not sure whether it's still open. I think that contract led to many other shows for me. The owners also owned Crazy Horse, which was a place in Stanmore.
So yeah. That's
Daniel.
That's what's now Spice Rack.
It's now a Pride View.
It's next
Spice
door
Rack's next door to that though. So it led to a few shows on that side of it. A lot of private parties, a lot of the weddings that I was doing actually were stemmed from clients that I met in that space. A lot of the corporate shows that we done as a company led from people that I met there. So it was like a network as such. It kind of started off like that. It felt like, for me, that place was the place where I would go to and actually also do work. It was like, all right, this is where I'm at. I've got emails to do. I've got figuring out how to do invoices. How do I recruit new DJs? How do I burn CDs? How do I build my SoundCloud following? But how can I do this sustainably while also getting an income? Yeah. So this was the kind of ground. And at that point, I was pretty much a night owl. I was
night
awake
shifts every day.
Night shifts, crazy. And working on that basis. And a lot of the DJs that come from the musical movements camp, a lot of them also went through a journey, because I think for me, every DJ that I brought up or brought into this scene, it was very important for me that they can read any room and they can adapt, and they don't just do weddings. Because I guess because of our brand, we don't only do the Asian wedding market. It's kind of important that they can do things
like corporate events, and other types of events,
and they can adapt to the musical journeys of it. So I remember Vish doing some shows there, and a lot of the DJs, some of them liked it, some of them didn't like it. I think it was quite long hours. So to sustain a set that long, it's quite difficult, especially when you're playing world music, for the dynamics of the audience there from all across the world.
One question I was going to ask, and it relates back to, I guess, how you got your first job at that club, and also how you operate musical movement. So first of all, when you went to that club, how do you tell them that you're a good DJ? Is it just, hey, look at my SoundCloud? And my follow-up question to that is, now that you run musical movements, how do you sign DJs? Is it purely based on what you've seen on socials, or do you get them to like
make some fun of me,
to entertain me?
The way it worked was, it was a trial run. I had to basically play. So when I got there to Windmill, he just said, all right, play, let's go. And I was just playing, and the equipment that they had was quite battered, and it was really like it wasn't really working properly, but I just worked with it.
Yeah.
I guess I come with the right attitude. At first, I don't think it's safe to say that they didn't like what I was playing, and he just addressed it. And
Because
I think,
it was too hip hop R&B.
yeah, so he
right.
goes, look, what you played today wasn't the right music for this space. Come back tomorrow with a better playlist. And gave me an opportunity to come back again. The next day, the whole day, I just spent downloading music, figuring out what it was, doing a little bit more research, calling a few older DJs that I knew, getting a bit of guidance. And then I think when I come with that playlist and that approach, it changed. And it was like, okay, you know what you're doing. And for me, I was an easy solution for them because they just needed DJs consistently.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they had DJs that were coming in, coming out, and that consistency become a problem. So I've become a bit more of a, I need someone here. I ended up doing shows there with the Supremes, like really big acts.
Yeah.
They had a lot of celebrities used to come there. So it was really, really well-known place, a really interesting space. Eventually, naturally, I think as I got more popular in the club scene, I literally reduced all the days I was there, and it just become a case of me managing it and just putting DJs in there. And at that point, I was doing that across 4 or 5 other places locally. So it was like an agency. So before I started becoming a wedding kind of hub or doing weddings, we were essentially running an agency in the bar club scene within the London market.
I guess that makes sense. And when you eventually transition to then getting on board all of the musicians and like entertainment options of musical movements, because you were kind of already doing that, like
that's right,
managing an agency, putting it with the right spaces or clients, and then and just overseeing it all.
I think that's partly why I met or know so many musicians in this industry, is because I worked with so many of them in the bar world or club world before it got to the wedding. So when it come to people asking me about entertainment, it'll become quite easy for me to just navigate and say, hey, look, I've got some musicians that are going to be great. And then that's essentially how we kind of got to the foundation of building the band, or having that kind of experience behind it to be like, I've worked with enough musicians beforehand. I know what to do to produce a product like this.
Yeah.
And that's basically why we moved in that market.
Yeah.
Did that was that there from the beginning? Like, did you have this sort of agency of entertainment, or was it kind of musical movements, DJs, and then I've added that on top, or was it kind of happening at the same time?
It was at the forefront of it. We did have a few musicians already signed to our saxophone, violin, but it wasn't a band. It wasn't an interactive band. It was more so just like additional add-ons.
Yeah.
When they book a DJ, they might book a saxophone player, they might book a violin,
Right.
they might book a dancer. Now it's kind of like a bit more of an experience. What we try to do is when a client comes to us, it's kind of they're coming with solutions for what they're hoping for, and we just kind of lay out some options. If we can source it and do it in-house, we will. If it's something that we don't do, we'll recommend them to the right people that might be more in line with it. But what we try to do is curate the show for a client and basically say, look, tell me what you want.
Yeah.
Let me give you the options and piece it from that.
And that's great for a client to have like a one-stop shop where,
Yeah.
and I've seen, obviously we work with you guys a lot, and I've seen your catalogue, and it's so clear, and you literally got, these are the options, these are the different DJs, these are the different types of dance floors. If you want live music, these are the different options. And it's so great, people can just see everything and then figure out what they want. But if a client asks you, they want some entertainment for their wedding, clients generally ask us, how do you tell them like what they need, what they should have, what would suit the vibe? Like, how do you differentiate that for them?
So normally I think it starts with 2 things. One is the availability. Normally what I'd probably do, if a client gets in touch with me and says, hey, I'm getting married on the 2nd of October, I need a DJ. Either they'll know who they want, or they'll tell me what the musical preferences are.
Yeah.
Based on their musical preferences, I normally ask them, like, which way are you leaning towards? Are you more towards the Asian music scene? Are you more towards the Western music scene, whether it's Afro house, R&B, hip hop, dancehall, Afro beats, whatever that might look like for them? And then from that, I'll tell them which 3 DJs from my team are most suited. And then normally the DJs on that basis, I'll try to tell the client, please check out these profiles. I normally link them to Instagram and also to our website. It does have some mixes, it does have some videos, so it kind of gives them enough to go from so that they can judge whether they want to do a phone call or Zoom call with them next.
Okay.
So I feel like that's normally what I try to do. Or I'll also ask them, how did you hear about us? Is there a specific event you've seen or heard one of the DJs at, or whose wedding you was at? And then I can backtrack which DJ was there. Because we get that a lot. People are like, hey, I was at one of the weddings last year and you guys were great. I want to book you. But they don't realize how many people are behind or how many DJs are involved. So it's kind of like, whose wedding was it? Let me check which DJ it is, just to ensure. Some people don't mind and they want to kind of have the options. So it's kind of
based it on that.
varies.
And what about like your, like, let's say not DJs, but let's say like your other stuff, because you guys can sort out sax, violin, tabla. Like, is there too much? Is there such a thing as too much entertainment at a wedding? Like, do you think there's sometimes like less is a bit more? Like, how do couples know what additional things they should look at?
I think it comes down to 2 things. One is the space, the venue itself, the budget that they hopefully want to spend.
Yeah.
And that way around, you can kind of max or vary it. So sometimes clients will say, hey, this is my budget. What can you do within that? And then I can be quite realistic to say, look, this is what we can do within this budget. If you do want something like a full live band, these are the starting points of what things could look like. But generally, I just try to navigate from what they want to do. Some people come to me and say, look, I just want a band. That's the priority for me. I want a 5-piece band. This is the venue that we've got. And I just work it from that, because I would say that everyone's got their own direction, their own vision. Our model is not a case where I think it fits all as such. It's more so, it's kind of getting to know what they want and then piecing it together. But normally what I do, or within our teams, we'll orchestrate like based on the client's musical preference, which musicians, which DJs, and what we do to build that. Because most of our clients won't know that. But some of the clients want to know a bit too much details, which is sometimes a bit harder to navigate, because it's like, I don't know what you want before I can give you like availability on things. I think is also important to kind of go through that. So it's a case of hearing them out before we map it out.
When we were first kind of getting married and we were looking at like who our DJ is going to be, I actually didn't realize before we got into this industry how tied DJs are to like having the full scale production.
Right.
So when people come to you, do they often come with a specific DJ in mind?
Quite often they would come with a specific DJ in mind. I'd say yes, for sure. A handful of times we do get inquiries that just drop in that they don't really have an idea of exactly who they want. So they'd like to know which options are available. But on my kind of processes, before I can send a quote out to someone, I normally ask them or have these fields in motion to ensure we know what music they want. Because the most important thing for me, if they come to us, is to ensure that, you know, we are the right company for someone, because we might not be. And sometimes that might be the case. And if someone kind of highlights the kind of key details of the musical journey, we can lead with the DJs. But at the same time, all of the DJs can also adapt and make sure that they champion the music of choice. If a client says, hey, look, I need you to play R&B, garage, dancehall, this, and this is the journey that they want to go on, the DJs can quite easily orchestrate that. But it's that communication that goes through with them.
And I have a question about when you first entered the wedding industry. What was the reaction from the existing DJs or companies that were out there?
So actually, I think it's safe to say when we first come in, it was quite warm and welcoming. I think that a lot of the people come watching us, knowing that we came from a club experience, a club background. They showed a lot of love, to be honest with you. A lot of the players in the game. I remember Kudos, Ritzy. We've always had a great relationship. They showed a lot of support when we used to see each other at like wedding shows and stuff like that. They would also ask us. I remember early days of even going to like Kudos to Unit, when I used to purchase some of the equipment from them, confetti cannons, and coming back to CDs. I remember going to their units, giving them CDs. So we had a great relationship, as we come up. And I think to this day, I think there's great support within the industry. There's so many powerful players in this industry. The better another company does, I feel like it just pushes everyone else higher. So everyone's kind of in the same direction of knowing that, all right, look, these guys are pushing things up. You don't want to essentially fall behind, so you're trying to keep up as such and keep moving. So I do think the good thing collectively with the specifically Asian wedding industry is everyone is quite innovative in some ways. They're quite hands-on and they push. They're very hard-working. It's like working all around the clock. There's no days off. There's no time out. It's pushing through.
I know. I completely agree. Like I think, like you said, the fact that there's so much competition, and it is quite not a dog-eat-dog industry, but it is like there are fierce competitors in the industry, but it does make you kind of level up. And I think the Asian wedding industry, particularly like the kind of AV side of things, decor side of things, like it has really stepped up because everyone's trying to do the best job, and like there are only a finite amount of clients, and everyone's kind of, I guess, fighting for the same. No, exactly that. I still feel like, you know, it's a very competitive market. I think we all know that it's fiercely competitive. I still think there's a big market, and it's safe to say that the DJs are probably going through the same aspect as us in respect to like a worldwide audience, where DJs are getting shows abroad. Lots more, to a point where I'm hoping like some of my DJs could stay in London, because naturally we win on the production too, because we do all the production in-house. So it's kind of tying things collectively together in that respect. But Instagram has opened up a whole kind of new market. Like a lot of our clients now are from US. I don't know how this has happened, but over the years, I think every wedding we do, we end up meeting like 3 or 4 new people. Shrey, for example, Shrey's calendar this year is crazy. Shrey's playing over maybe 50 destination weddings this year alone. He's in Mexico now. That's mental.
He was in Thailand the week before that. He was in Dubai the week before that. India the week before that.
Oh my God.
And all of his clients are from USA. So
Wow.
he's very rarely doing any UK clients, and I think it's quite unique. I think it's finding like a market that worked. And initially it started with us doing lots of shows in Europe, from planners involved in Italy, Portugal, and I think it was just the ease of us flying DJs for them from UK at that point.
Yeah.
To now a point where actually, hey, I had this DJ, we want to book this person.
Yeah.
So
and it's continued.
it's a bit of balance
there.
between that all.
Yeah, like you said, it's quite difficult because you want to sort of scale and you want to go international, but then when you scale too big, and I'm not saying that you scale too big, when you go international, then suddenly, like you said, your DJs are not there, and like actually, like, because you do all your production in house, you have all your screens, you have everything, and obviously, you know, you get business and you get money through that. But if all your more kind of well-known DJs are, exactly, you're like, anyone want to come DJ for?
No, exactly that. Like, to be honest with you, there's a handful of dates this year already that we've just got no availability for.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we don't need you to do the production or anything. We've got someone else. If it helps, and it's like, I don't have any DJs.
Yeah.
And this is the first year I've seen like dates have gone like completely where we just don't have DJs available.
Yeah.
That's so frustrating.
It is because and the problem is as well, I think a lot of the new inquiries coming in are for the next 3 months.
Yeah, like last.
And I'm kind of like, they're not moving with any urgency, and I'm like, this is busy.
The same with us. I'm glad
in the last couple of months, people are just like, oh, I'm getting married in a few months, and we're like, oh, so what have you booked? No, the venue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
anything else?
Yeah. People are like, I'm getting married, and you know, we've not booked anything just as of yet, and it's like, oh, okay, all right. So starting from kind of that, I'll normally start with the proposal, I'll send it across, and then within a week, if I've given an option of 3 DJs, which I normally do, 2 of them might have gone.
Now just send the invoice.
I try just to tell clients that if you're unsure on what you want, it's fine. If you want to secure a DJ for now and work out the packages as you're moving, that's also fine. But I think it's a kind of a balance between, you know, some clients know that, all right, look, this guy's not available, their team's not. There's 100 other companies out here that are going to be available. So it's a kind of basis. But at the same time, I have spoken to lots of companies, especially in the DJ spaces, that are also in the same position where lots of dates have gone. Lots of inquiries are coming in for the same dates.
Yes, we've had like a few really popular, like seems to be the same dates that keep coming in. Yeah, which is strange. Okay, I think to kind of come towards the end of it, I feel like I've got a few questions to ask from what clients ask us, which might be helpful maybe for them as well. So first of all, if you want to guarantee a really vibey party, what are things you have to consider? Obviously the DJ you book, but is there anything else that you think is really important to keep people on the dance floor and to keep it like a vibey atmosphere? Because you've probably seen some weddings and done some weddings where it's been really dead, right? And it's really painful, like probably especially for you. For us, we're trying to like drag people onto the dance floor, like, come on guys, get
the
out.
most heartbreaking moment in life.
Yeah, honestly, it's really sad because you're like, this couple's most important day of their life, and it's an empty dance floor. So like, what would you say are your 3 tips to make sure the dance floor is full?
Having someone that's confident. You know what I've learned about the music industry generally, or entertainment industry as such, is vibes.
Yeah,
it's confidence. Now sometimes things don't plan out, but it's how you break that ice, or how you get people to come back to the dance floor, what you say on the mic. Now initially I always stood with the viewpoint of DJs should be DJs, MCs should be MCs, everyone should just kind of stay within lanes as such. Now I'm actually become much more of a person that understands the need of having a DJ, for example, that can navigate and talk when needed, to be like, all right, look, there's not enough people on the dance floor right now. Let me say something that's not going to insult anyone by saying, hey, this is a dead party, everyone come up, right? Because some people do that because they don't know how to react or what to say. Instead, try making a bit more of a playful joke, get a photographer onboarded, say, can you stand at the front? I'm going to invite the bride and groom to stand right in front of you, all of their friends and family behind you. I think atmosphere as well adds to this. So that being one thing to try help and get a dance floor full. Secondary is the atmosphere in the room. And for me, it's lights. Killing as much light as possible is always a good answer for me. Especially when it puts people at ease. And you know, you do see photographers, video teams trying to do their job, trying to capture things with lots of light to get the content that they need. But it does go against the party. And we've been quite vocal to say this on numerous occasions, that photography and video teams, as much as, you know, they've got to do what they've got to do, I think there's a fine line of when they should keep the lights on and up until even if that's 10 o'clock argument's sake, and then 10 to 12 is just the party centric moment. It's important. But when some video and photography teams are quite resistant and say, look, it doesn't matter what you want, we're here to film, and they just stick the cameras on and you're like walking around filming people, it's not very natural.
Exactly.
And some people get
self-conscious. We have that same situation because like when we're obviously trying to like manage the situation, we've got the photo video team being like, can you switch on those lights, and then we've got the DJ being like, can you ask them to switch off their lights, and we're like,
You're in between
I'm
them.
going to go stand outside
Right.
and just you guys battle this
It's
out
awkward.
between you. Yeah,
It's awkward. I mean,
Yeah.
majority of the teams we can kind of compromise with and say, look,
Yeah.
ultimately it's not our decision. So we just relay this as best as we can to the bride
Yeah.
and groom to say, look, this is what we see work well. If you want a good party, you know, having the bar in the same room is a
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
was
so
gonna be
key.
my tip.
yeah.
Because you will lose people if the bar's in a separate
100%.
room. Like, and mostly it's your vibey people because they're the ones drinking. They're the
Exactly.
ones
Yeah.
and then they leave the dance floor to go, and then you have to queue. Then you get chatting to someone, and by the time you have a bit of your drink and come back, you've missed like half an hour.
Yeah.
So that's really key, I think.
Absolutely. And I also think I like the ideas of having of musicians or bands and things along those lines, because the people that are not necessarily as party centric, they're the ones that actually kind of wake up when they see live entertainment.
Yeah.
So I feel like that element of things, or introducing that, works. And also, as I mentioned, bringing it back to confidence. You know, vocalists or any musician that we tend to work with come from a background of theatre, or they come from confident levels that are a lot higher.
Yeah.
So just to get out there and break the ice and
Yeah.
just
They've got
walk
that
around.
stage presence, and they've
That's
got
right.
that ability to like carry a crowd and understand a crowd and feedback off it.
And I think that it's just icebreakers. And if you start that from the moment people walk in the room, I like to just try putting musicians straight away in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I want people to walk in and be like, all right, this is going to be a great night. Let me line up now.
Yeah.
You know, if I've drove here, let me try figuring out who else can drive
Yeah,
my car back,
exactly.
or leave the cars here.
Yeah.
But you put that in their mind.
Yeah.
Sometimes people come to a wedding, they're driving there, be like, it's going to be dead, or it's not going to
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, how many people do we speak to? Especially me, I speak to a lot of people that basically say, you know, they're here, they drove here, they don't know whether they're going to stay, and they're there right till the end, and they're like, wow, this was great.
Yeah.
But I think it's just lining them up to know in advance it's going to be a good party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine, that's a great one. And then, do you think it's important like your entrance song and your first dance song in terms of like it being super vibey, or do you feel like it should just match the couple's personality?
I would say matching the personality, less awkward.
Okay.
Because if the bride and groom are not really vibing or feeling it, then you can also feel uncomfortable and feel for them. And it's a little bit uncomfortable. And I think for someone's most important day of their life as such, it should be just about what you want, not necessarily forcing a narrative to suit
forcing them
it.
to be something that they're not.
Yeah, because we also do lots of parties that are not party-centric bride and grooms. And they're like, it's all right. If that's not for you, then we don't need to force it. You know, it can be more so we can have extended dinner sets. You can do things along those lines. Lots more weddings, as I'm sure you also see, are not on weekends. They're on Sundays. Although Sunday's the weekend. It's or midweek
like
days.
Tuesday or Sunday. People are driving.
No, that's a good point. Okay, and then my last thing is, for this year, what do you think are if you wanted a vibey entrance, 3 sick entrance songs for a couple?
Okay, interesting.
Not to put you under
Put me
pressure,
on
but
it. Well, I mean,
And sing them.
sing them, yeah. All right, what song am I feeling now? All right, well, I like the classic songs. Like for me, as weird as it is, like songs like Avicii, Levels, or just like commercial We Found Love, Rihanna, like just because I can't think of anything right now more so specifically, but those kind of energy levels anyway. 130 BPM, popular house songs, commercial kind of aspect of things. Also works quite well. Sigala has got some great songs as well. Rudimental. Those kind of vibes for me, like Rudimental, Waiting All Night, for me would be like just a really good song at any moment.
Okay.
I feel like the energy that song kind of creates and the emotions is great. It's powerful. So if you pick songs along those lines, I feel like they are set up to win.
I think it's also okay to pick old songs. Sometimes people are always like, what's the trending song for this year? But I'm like, it's actually fine if it's a great song from 5 years ago.
Everyone knows it as well.
Yeah.
Even like a lot of the classic songs, then they have the guests that will stand up waving the handkerchiefs and stuff like that. Sheb Khalid, songs along those lines. What else has been popular? Peggy Goo's been popular this year. But I don't think there's I mean, I did do a blog on this, on the top 10 reception songs that the DJs collectively have chosen, and a lot of them are songs that have been around for a few years.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say there's a right or wrong answer, but is there a particular song that comes to your mind out of interest?
I'm having a mind blank. This actually makes me think of the question that I was going to ask you next. Like, have you ever been on the decks and you're just like, I don't know what to play next?
Literally.
Does it really?
It literally does.
A bit like when I forgot my question earlier.
Yeah. It happened a lot. I think it's vibes, right? Because sometimes you feel like, all right, am I playing the right songs, or am I playing them too soon, or should I save the bangers to a little bit later? Let me warm them up a bit, or a lot of the guests have gone to the bar. Let me figure out. And sometimes when I'm doing that, someone else is talking to me here, then the photographer's saying something on this side, and you're kind of trying to figure out, what am I doing?
And then some sloppy guy comes over.
Yeah. And you're
drink in hand, hovering over your laptop, like, mate, can you play this? Like, pointing to his phone, and you just like, then you get away from me.
And like, you get thrown off a lot if clients come up to you and they are like asking for something and say, hey, can you play it? You feel obliged to play it next, right?
Yeah.
But then you might have someone else in the friend circle that be like, hey, everybody wants to hear, this genre right now.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like, wait a minute, I spoke to the bride and groom and I'm sure they
said
don't.
not to,
Then you've got to try remembering who you've spoken to.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you try to. So I've got quite.
And then also, obviously, because you're more knowledgeable about like crowds and vibes and like playing music, right? And so sometimes what I might like as a song, as a DJ, isn't going to be a song that gets people going. So like, it's probably navigating that as well, being like, someone be like, play this song, you're a bit like, that's going to kill the crowd. But you have to kind of just maybe say yes sometimes.
But sometimes I've also learned that some of those songs have created the best moments of that evening.
Okay,
So
fine,
sometimes it goes against. So now I'm kind of like, when I speak to a bride and groom, it's kind of like, if you have any kind of go-to people that you want us to listen to when it comes to playlists and music, like whether it's a sister, a brother, best man, bridesmaids, etc. Let us know, because what we'll try to do is work on a basis of listening to them, or also we've kind of got a process where it's like, don't play these songs or don't play these genres. So we kind of got a list of rules as such internally that the bride and groom have kind of gone through. So we kind of know what rules we're working
towards. There's still a filter if there's something comes through.
And then it's kind of just playing in between it. But it's also knowing how playful clients can be and how serious they are. It's safe to say majority of clients and wedding we do have got the right energy, the right emotion. But sometimes you might have an audience that might be a bit more trickier to push past for whatever reason. They might have different expectations, and it happens. Sometimes we do weddings and the clients are like, hey, I don't want to hear any of this, and that all of the clients want to hear it.
That's tough.
And we've been quite awkwardly just being there, being like stuck in situations where the brides come up and say, look, I don't want you to play any Bhangra at all, regardless of what anybody says to you. And then we're playing, and then the guests are coming to say, hey, how come you're not playing any Bhangra? Can you play something?
And then the thing is that they think that you're not listening. Then
that's right.
As a guest, I mean, obviously you're not there to kind of pitch yourselves to new clients, but ultimately every time you're on the decks, you kind of are pitching yourself, right? So if you're then saying no, like kind of not being rude, but like kind of dismissing people's requests, then naturally they're going to be like, well, I don't want.
No, it does happen.
He doesn't listen to requests.
Exactly that. It's exactly that. And sometimes it's a bit of a tough journey. And I think for us, naturally, we're just trying our best to make sure that the playlist that we've given to you works with the bride and groom. We can give you our direction, we can give you our advice, but we can't force the hand of what they want.
It's their day at the end.
Yeah, and most commonly we do say, like, we've been requested from the bride and groom not to play this genre, so I hope that's okay with you. And then normally, in which case, they just go to the bride and groom and say, hey, can you play this? And then either one or two things happen, right? The bride and groom say, no, we've told him what to play and it's all good, or they'll actually be like, oh yeah, okay, just listen to him. And it's fine.
Amazing. Okay, well, we normally wrap up and we ask our guests, what is one piece of advice you would tell future couples? It doesn't have to be to do with DJs, it can be anything.
I would say ideally plan as far in advance as possible. I guess naturally, it goes without saying that planners have a huge influence. Working with planners makes our life 10 times easier. A lot of my clients that do come to us now, I'm trying to say, actually, do you have planners? It'll be easier for us to just navigate, especially when it's complex shows, when they've got bands involved, production, big scale events. Some of them don't have planners, and that's when I find all of the problems happen, all of the extra work happens, and it just takes a lot more attention away from us. And ultimately, we also like to make our life easier.
Yeah, of course.
And working with planners does do that. So I would say, like, planning either very far in advance so that you've navigated through things, but most commonly work with people that know what the problems are going to be. Because it's safe to say, in this game, planners know what the problems are going to be. They know what you're going to encounter. They know how to get the best from it. And if I'm honest, they also know how to get the best deals from suppliers. So in many respects, it's probably easier if you want to get better deals. Instead of you going directly to each individual vendor, you go to a planner. Planners will probably make your life easier. And
Well, we love that. That was a great tip, Nainesh. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. That was really interesting. So interesting. And we'll see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Please like, follow, subscribe for more.